You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Welcome back, everybody, to the fourth of our special Greatest Game Show Bracket Challenge. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Host number 3.
So this is it. This tonight we will crown a winner, correct?
Correct. It all comes down to this.
We've already named 3 of our final 4, so we have one more region, quote unquote, of our bracket to go. What region would that be, Cliff?
Tonight, Jordan, we'll be doing the Trebek region, of course.
Ooh. All right, so if you're a patron with access to the video of these recordings, you can see the whole bracket, March Madness style.
Yeah.
Head-to-head matchups.
Yes.
But even if you can't see it, you'll hear it. We are going to debate them 2 at a time, pick a winner, and it will move on to face the next until we have our 4th of the final 4, and then we'll recap what we did the last 3 episodes and crown an ultimate winner.
Exactly. And in case you haven't tuned in for the previous 3 episodes, currently where we're at is we are down to The Price is Right, Hollywood Squares, and Family Feud. And then tonight we'll get our 4th winner, and then we'll bring our final 4 together for, to crown the grand champion of game shows. So, anybody got anything else to add before we start running into these brackets?
No, just to reiterate, we've got positive feedback for this, so we're glad people are enjoying it as much as we have been. So let's end on a strong note and make the people happy. Give them what they want.
Well, this bracket...
That's up to you guys.
This bracket is the second bracket to feature a play-in. We had 2 play-ins, basically, throughout the whole thing. 34 total shows we've included in our bracket. The first matchup, our play-in matchup, is going to be Cash Cab versus Cash Explosion. And Seth, you wanted Cash Cab in here, so tell us about
Yeah,
that.
I looked at your list. I said this is a good list. There was a couple things I had you add. I think those were the 2 play-ins where you made me work for it.
The bracket was already made. So.
I got my other pick into the main bracket. It fought its way in there.
Yeah.
Starcade. I think I can successfully beat Cash Explosion with Cash Cab.
Strong words.
Well, let's start with Cash Explosion. What is this? The lottery one?
This is the lottery one. So, to folks,
people watch that.
Folks local to
I thought that
us,
was a commercial.
This was the Ohio Lottery TV game show.
Tonight, one of these 7 people is going to go home with $50,000 on the Ohio Lottery's Cash Explosion. And here to give the money away are Bob Grassi and Sharon Bicknall.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Cash Explosion.
Oh, this is wonderful. I love doing this, and I'm sure that these players want to get started on their race to that $50,000, too.
I'm sure they do, Sharon. They each hold a Cash Explosion lottery ticket on which the word entry appeared 3 times. Their tickets were drawn on the air last week, and here they are, trying to get into the green. One of them is going to be our big grand prize winner tonight.
And they are all winners because each is guaranteed $1,000.
At least $1,000. And there are other great prizes, too, all made right here in Ohio, including a brand new car. And our 7 finalists are here because of purchasing a single lottery ticket. Next week, it could be you.
From our state capital, meet player number 1, Jim Wallace. Now retired.
I have
Jim likes
fond
to read
memories
as
of
he
it, watching it with my grandmother. She always played the lottery. The only person I really have ever known that I swear played the lottery every week. The same numbers and never won anything. But it was broadcast on television stations throughout Ohio. It originated in Cleveland and currently is still in production in Columbus, Ohio. Originally aired in February 1987 to September 2006, the original run. After that, the Ohio Lottery replaced it with Make Me Famous, Make Me Rich. However, slumping ticket sales and poor ratings prompted the return of Cash Explosion just a year later in 2007. It's remained on the air ever since then.
It's still on.
Still on to this day. It is the longest running state lottery based game show in the country, surpassing California's The Big Spin, which ended in 2009 after 23 years. So
what is, if you win, you had to go on the show, or is like you can win extra stuff by going on the show?
That was like, the curse. Yeah. That's why. They're like, you have to go on this show.
Yeah, I don't quite get the mechanics of it.
No.
You don't just win a scratcher. You have to go on TV and claim it.
Well, I honestly, from memory, I'm not sure exactly how they chose the contestants.
All right.
I'm guessing it's some way to trick you out of the money they don't want to give you. It's like, you can double your money. Just wager it again.
Oh, it says 7 contestants, each of whom submitted a Cash Explosion scratch card ticket with 3 matching entry symbols, competed in a race to reach the top of an 11-step pyramid in order to win the $50,000. Yes. Losing contestants were each given $1,000. So you still got money, even if you lost. Each contestant had a box of cards in front of them, numbered -2 to 3 with no 0 cards. On the turn, each contestant drew a card, moved up or down the pyramid by the number indicated. The first person to land on the final square by exact count won $50,000. If a contestant returned to the start line at any point in the game, or if they drew 2 negative value cards in a row, they were eliminated. So that's how you won the $50,000. Host-wise, you guys may remember the original host was Bob Grossi, who was the weather anchor at WBNS TV, 10 TV, Columbus, yes.
The weatherman.
The weatherman.
Did the game show.
Yes. He was replaced in 88 by Cleveland radio personality Paul Tepe. He lasted until 2000.
Paul, I've got a face for radio Tepe.
Apparently. Mike Armstrong took over then. Then he didn't last but a few months, and Tepe came back. I don't know if I'm saying that.
Yeah, breaking in here.
Hey, remember how I said we should end strong?
Yeah, breaking in here. I'm going to save this by saying Cash Cab. Everybody remembers Cash Cab.
Sorry, I'm not used to cabs in New York City.
It's Cameron and Shep from Southern Charm. You all right?
Yeah, everything's good. It's nasty out there.
You're in the Cash Cab! It's a TV game show that takes place right here in my taxi.
I'm a huge Cash Cab fan.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is like a life bucket list dream.
Cool. Where are we going?
Now I'm nervous.
We are headed to 76 in Amsterdam.
You guys are playing for a charity, right?
We're playing for a local charity in Charleston called Feed the Need, which
comedian Ben Bailey pulls up with this cab.
Where was he a weatherman?
Yeah, really.
Exactly. Where wasn't?
He wasn't in Columbus, I can tell you that.
Oh.
Not in 1988.
He'd pull up in his cab and you would get in with your friends or whatever, going for a ride. then the lights would burst on and the whole thing would light up, and you're like, oh no, I'm on Cash Cab, and they'd map out, okay, where are you going? You got so many blocks, 27 blocks before we get to your destination, and you have to answer these trivia questions, and you earn money as you go. It's like $50 a question, I think, or something. And then the next round may get to 100, and I think you only get 3 strikes or something like that. And
so it was a trivia show.
Yeah, you answer these trivia questions, but it was much like, they used the. And I know the rules changed a little bit over time, but I think they basically had a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire format where they were saying you could stop for a shout out. You could like pull over and ask somebody on the street, the question, or you could maybe get a mobile shout out, use your phone, and if you stopped at a red light, you had a red light challenge where they might be like, name as many best Oscar winners as you can or whatever while we're sitting at this red light, and you earn money for each one you name and that kind of stuff.
Where did the $50,000 pyramid come into play on this show?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, when you get to the end, how much money you had won, they're all excited to get out of the car, and then you had usually a video question to double your money, even though the video may just be a screen of someone reading you a trivia question. But that was it, and the guy was kind of funny.
Did they travel around, or was it always in the same city?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know.
I assume it was the same city.
I know of this show, but I can't say I've ever sat down and watched.
Really?
Yeah.
It seemed like it was on around dinner time or something. That back in the day, it was just like, I think it started, 15 or 20 years ago, probably 2000, mid 2000s. It was on for a good 10 years. I think it left for a little bit, came back it might be back on now. I don't know. I know it came back not too long ago for a run. It's just a fun little trivia game. It was a little more professional than your weatherman or radio DJ.
I always liked Cash Explosion. It was local. It was they drew the the lottery, the little Powerball or whatever it was in the middle of the show. That was broke away from it. My grandma would have her tickets out, and they'd read off those numbers every week. It was a fun show for me. I always thought it was neat just because it was local. I know we know somebody that their mom went and won a bunch of money on it one time years ago, probably 20 years ago. Yeah, it was just that was the appeal to me when I was looking up game shows. I was like, oh my gosh, here's a show I would not have immediately thought of, but when I saw it listed, I was like, oh my gosh, I used to watch that show with my grandma so much, and she loved it, and the whole thing came back to me. Jordan.
Well,
it's showing Cash Cab started in 2005 and ran for 14 seasons. So the last episode it has on here was August of 2020. So it's still very recent.
I think it took a hiatus in the middle there for several years though.
If a player answers incorrectly 3 times, he is kicked out of the cab without any money.
Yeah, you don't make it to your destination.
Yeah, I'm like Cliff. I have never watched it.
That is crazy. Everybody else has seen this except you guys.
I mean, I know the concept. It's been referenced before. I know what it is, and it's not the lottery. So let's go with it.
Okay.
I've never played the lottery.
Cash Cab is going through. Okay, what's next?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's nothing.
Wow. Okay. Well, since Cash Cab.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yep. Sorry, Grandma. We'll roll right into. Cash Cab will then be put up against number 1 seed Alex Trebek, Jeopardy.
Surprise me, Trebek 16. Answer. 20,200.
All right. This big landlocked African country was surprised to be added to the USA's 2017 travel ban, but was removed from the list in 2018.
What is Chad?
You're right. 40,400, your lead.
Surprise me 2,000.
Anybody want to have anything special? Any special Jeopardy stories we haven't told before? No? Okay. Rolling right through it.
If any of you listeners have a special Jeopardy story you'd like to share, reach out.
Tell it to yourselves. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Jump in a taxi cab. Tell it to the driver.
Tell it to your weatherman.
Tell your weatherman.
Tell your grandma.
Jeopardy.
Again, just a very simple format. Trivia questions. So many of these game shows are just answering trivia questions, but there's a million different ways to do it.
Created by Merv Griffin, of course. Yeah, this is the gimmick in this is they give you the answers and then you have to pose in the form of a question.
Can I say something blasphemous? It's dumb.
I agree.
I don't like that.
I agree.
As a gimmick, it's culturally significant. It's an important part of game show history, but it's very annoying to have to say, what is
your problem? What is your problem, Jordan?
I agree, though. I feel like it was probably a nice gimmick in the beginning to set it apart from other shows, but
then they're like, man, what did we do?
Yeah.
We can't do anything about that now.
40 years later, and why are we still doing this?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that's like disqualifying or anything, but I don't think that adds anything to the show.
Did they, were there actual repercussions if you didn't put it in the form of a question? Like they say, oh, sorry, you're wrong.
They just stand there and stare at you.
Like if your time went up.
You go, Babe Ruth. Who is Babe Ruth? Like they would just say nothing until you got it right or your time ran
out.
Okay. Notes. Originated series on March 30th, 1964 in original daytime format. It ran until 75 on NBC. Then revived, brought back on NBC for a 21-week run. I can't talk tonight. With a slightly different format from 78 to 79. Art Fleming hosted the program. The current version that we have known most of our lives debuted on September of 84 with Alex Trebek as host. And then it's kind of, like we said, it's been basically the same show ever since. So, the exception of a 39-episode block of weekly shows placed in syndication near the end of the first run in 74 to 75. Jeopardy has aired its first run episode 5 days a week throughout its existence. So going back to, what we were saying before about Wheel of Fortune 7 p.m., Jeopardy 7:30 p.m., 5 nights a week. So, prime time. But yeah, they've done different college week or they've hosted, had the show in different locations, I think a few times, and they've done some, much like Wheel of Fortune, done some little variations, but basically it's the same show, over and over and over. They got, we talked a few years back when Ken Jennings was making his big run through it and winning all the money, and how it kind of, I don't know, I guess brought Jeopardy back to the spotlight of the country for a while. And of course, currently he's the guest host, and I think, what'd we say, he's done about 30 episodes or whatever. So
yeah, that's the most potential. It's like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something, where you have something exciting can happen on there that gets people to, all of a sudden everyone wants to tune in to something special's happening. But
thought of a good Jeopardy story.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
My senior yearbook, my senior quote or whatever. I plan to attend Otterbein College in the fall and possibly pursue a career in business. 2 for 2. I will then spend my time accumulating trivial bits of knowledge and winning a fortune on Jeopardy.
Wow.
So that was my goal.
There he is.
Well. Who's a dweeb underneath you? Actual Jeopardy champion.
Still a Facebook friend.
Actual Jeopardy champion. Somebody. Well, let's say
my quote was, every rose has its thorn, just like every night has its dawn, just like every cowboy sings a sad, sad song. And they put, taken from a Guns N' Roses song.
Wait, I want to know what the other guy said he was going to be.
I have been immortalized as an idiot after saying I want to be on Jeopardy.
No, it was the Poison song that immortalized that.
I plan on going to a 4-year college majoring in computer science, then grad school and a master's, maybe even a doctorate. I think he may have done that. I don't know.
Or crackhead. We don't know.
He makes more money than I do. Let's just say that. He was voted most likely to succeed. And I was
but did he quote warrant?
Skid Row. I'm betting it was Skid Row.
I was quoting Bill and Ted, quoting Poison, but that's all right.
Oh, what is pretentious? Okay.
All right. So Jeopardy, cash, cab.
Yeah.
Jeopardy.
You guys never even heard of cash cab, so
yeah. Come on.
We know what's happening here.
What is cash cab? I'm asking because I don't know.
Oh yeah. Wow.
All right, guys. Matchup number 2. Here's a fun little one. Win Ben Stein's money versus Card Shark.
From Television City in Hollywood, it's Card Shark. Here's the host of Card Shark, Bob Eubanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Card Sharks. We're glad you could make it today. We have some delightful contestants. We have a lot of money to give away, so we're going to pick it up from where we left off last time. Our champion had just won another match, and she was ready to play the big money cards, so let's get her in here right now. Come on, Amy. Here we go.
Now, Card Sharks, isn't that just blackjack or something?
No, well...
No, it's higher or lower, right?
Yeah, it was higher or lower.
Oh,
you guessed.
It's war.
Yeah, it's war. It's based on the card game Acey Deucey.
Player has their own deck of 52 playing cards. They're shuffled and cut before we go on the air, and the red cards on the top will be played by Royce. The lower cards, the blue cards, to be played by Cynthia. The object of the game is to work your way across the board, predicting whether each of these cards is higher or lower than the one that precedes it. Before you can begin calling high-low on the cards, you have to first answer a high-low toss-up question. Here comes my little R2-D2 now. All of our toss-up questions based on a poll of 100 people. They test your ability to judge human nature. And Royce, the first question goes to you, and we polled 100 women in the small Idaho town of Craigmont. And we asked them
Let's get really big playing cards, right? This is the really big playing card show?
Yes. I think it's made a comeback. I think it's one of those shows they've recently brought back.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Joel McHale, I think. Right?
Yeah.
What did they do on there that, like, in the new one? Did they change anything? Like,
no, it's exactly the same. I think the set is exactly the same. Yeah.
They take a card and say it's a 5. Okay.
Yes.
You say...
You say higher, lower, or stop,
no, you just,
or hold.
You say higher.
Yeah.
Because it's a 5.
Right.
But they don't always.
They don't.
So this concept has been made into a series at least 4 times since '78.
Wow. Because it just kept working.
It did. It was easy to play along.
Those cards are dynamite.
So, originally ran, looks like 78 to 81 on NBC. Jim Perry was the host, returned and ran from 86 to 89 on CBS with Bob Eubanks as host. That is the version I remember. That is definitely the one I grew up with.
There's a game show host for you right there.
Absolutely. Gene Wood was the announcer in the 70s and 80s. Another syndicated production aired in 2001 with Pat Bullard as host. And then we mentioned the primetime version since 2019 with Joel McHale. You know, they have the pretty girls that
turn the cards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Turn the cards, flip them over. That's pretty much, that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
So,
what was it up against? Ben Stein's Money? That's Comedy Central show?
Yes, Comedy Central. Win Ben Stein's Money with
Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes, Jimmy got his big
host?
start. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
All right, contestants, good luck. You're going to need it. Everyone, please turn your attention to our game board as Jimmy tells us our first 5 topics.
And they are places north of the border where you get the 600-mile runs. Belong in the restless? Don't mock me. Come over there and lower the sonic boom. The guy's an angel, but he has halotosis. And her smile is fake, but her rack is real.
All right, now, contestants, in the first round, questions are worth anywhere from $50 to $150 of my money. We're going to start with you, Kathy. Please pick a topic.
Well, I think, obviously, I'll have to start with her smile is fake, but her rack is real.
$100 question. Subject to a vote of confidence of the Knesset, the Israeli cabinet is selected by what man? Dom?
Who was the prime minister?
Tom, you...
I'm sorry, Dom.
Really, you committed the worst sin you could possibly commit on this show.
Do you want to try it again? You are awfully close to the right answer.
Yeah.
The prime minister.
Yes, very good, very good.
It premiered in 97, ran to 2003. Comedy Central featured 3 contestants who competed to answer trivia questions to win a grand prize of $5,000 from Ben Stein himself. That was the gimmick.
I was gonna think that doesn't seem like a whole lot of money, but I guess if you're taking it from the guy,
yeah,
supposedly. And at the end, I remember like you had to answer like 7 questions or something, and then he had a chance to do the same, like if it go in a silence booth or whatever. And,
yeah, in the second half of the show, before that, Ben Stein would, the first half he would read the questions. The second half he would play against you.
Yeah.
Is how it worked. So to, I guess, defend his money or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy Kimmel read the questions after that during that portion of the show. And then let's see, it won Outstanding Game Show Host Award in 99. Jimmy Kimmel did.
Huh.
Okay.
Everybody knows Ben Stein is most famous for what?
Bueller.
He was the teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
In the apparently in the
speechwriter for Richard Nixon.
That is true. That's right. He was into politics. I do remember that.
Yes,
now.
and of late in the really showed his butt. So it was as usual, they all fail you in the
end. During the closing credits, it was noted that the prize money was paid from a prize budget from the producers of the show.
It really is money.
Big surprise! It wasn't really Ben Stein's money.
But it seemed like a unique thing at that time. It was a good twist on things. They would tease you and trash talk you, and like it wasn't just a.
Didn't they have a dunce cap?
That sounds familiar.
I think that's the Man Show you're thinking of.
Is it?
Yeah, they made you go on a trampoline, right?
I'm not positive. I
It
know that
was,
was
yeah, it was
around the
very
same.
irreverent and very just kind of loose. And
Yeah.
like, you know, Ben Stein had a good personality as like the very dry
Yeah.
comic timing. And yeah, it was again just a trivia game, but a good twist.
Gotta be better than War.
AC Doocy.
Yeah.
I remember watching that a lot as a kid, though. It was
did
on
too.
some time I was around, so I have seen a lot of it, but I definitely loved Ben Stein's Money back then.
Yeah, I remember watching reruns of Bob Eubanks and Card Sharks before school, and that's how it was easy. Like I said, it was easy to play along. Simple rules that you could fit into a half-hour show. Ben Stein's Money was...
You didn't even have to shuffle.
No.
Half hour.
Ben Stein's Money was a fun show. I remember, years ago now, but when I was young, and it was a novel little concept. It was cool because Comedy Central was still fairly new, and writing, that that racy reputation from South Park and shows like that, movies they would show they would show Van Wilder a lot on that network. I remember that back then. But yeah, so it's win Ben Stein's Money for both of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that moves on. See how quickly we're going through these. Matchup number 3.
Yeah, anything with Shadow Stevens or anything?
Not yet. We're getting there. We'll get there. A little shadow goes a long way. Next matchup. Here's a fun one: the Newlywed Game versus the Dating Game, guys.
Oh, these are both good.
Okay.
The Newlywed Game. What that? Who hosted that?
The Newlywed Game was most famous by Bob Eubanks.
That's what I thought. I was sitting here thinking, isn't that Bob Eubanks?
Yeah, that was
Bob Eubanks was the quintessential host. He needs more credit. He was good. He had a good delivery, and really sarcastic and say things and just kind of making fun of the contestants and things. He definitely had a style to his delivery. But yeah, the Newlywed Game, they had to try to match answers, right?
We had newly married couples.
Set as couples, and they have already asked them questions, and then the other one has to guess what their spouse said, and then there's a lot of hitting each other as they sit there, and the husband didn't say what the wife thought they would say. Oh, we our first date wasn't there. You didn't say that, and
I love those cards you wrote your answers on because they always became weapons.
Yeah, they were beating them with them. Yeah, a lot of paper cuts on the Newlywed Game.
But more famous than that part of the show was where we got the phrase "making whoopee."
Last of our 5-point questions, girls. Tell me where specifically is the weirdest place that you personally, girls, have ever gotten the urge to make whoopee?
In the...
No. It's still there. No, what I'm talking about is the weirdest location, the weirdest place.
Location?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Give me an answer, please. He said it was in the car on the freeway.
Yeah, that's a Bob Eubanks if you ever. He was definitely
because
about the innuendo.
This show started in the late 60s, and they had to watch what they said, of course.
When you're making whoopee,
right?
Yeah, and it was always like multiple choice. Are you a cold fish, a hot tamale, or something? They would give you some random thing.
Right.
Complete this sentence. My husband is the first man I ever heard about who, what?
He lasts so long when he's being romantic. He just keeps, he doesn't quit. He just keeps going. I really can turn him on. But he doesn't turn off. He laughs. He's got, he's thin, but he's strong.
Say he is basically more urban or rural, Kathy?
I don't know what they mean.
You know him. You married him. What do you think?
Heck, he's urban.
He's urban.
Yeah.
How long has he been that way?
About 2 months.
2 months he's been there.
So, so they had to make phrases up to, circumvent the network censors is why they worded it that way and had catchphrases and all that. Ran forever. I remember it being on reruns Nick at Night for a long time and watching, those old Newlywed shows back then. Started in 1966, black and white, converted to color by the end of 1966, and then the primetime version began after that. First ran wives are taken off stage while husbands were asked what they thought their wives would answer, of course, and then they switched and they did the same thing. The husbands were taken out, the wives gave their answer what they thought their husbands had previously answered, and then the highest score at the end of the second round won a prize that was chosen just for you, because the couples had requested a certain prize and competed with other couples that had requested the same prize.
That's weird.
I don't remember that part. The grand prize was never a cash or a car, but it could be appliances, furniture, home entertainment systems, a trailer, or motorcycles, trips. In the 1997 remake, the grand prize was always a trip and referred to as a fabulous second honeymoon instead of a grand prize chosen just for you. So, anything else?
Okay, then we had sorry. Do you have more?
Well, no, I was just going to say anything else on the Newlywed.
I feel it was rebooted even more recently. Like Sherry Shepherd did some. I
haven't seen it, but I remember hearing that it did reboot at one point.
Oh yeah, all exactly the same with the writing with a marker on a card.
Same hitting.
Yeah. But then if you got it right, you usually get a little peck on the cheek or a nice cute little kiss, and then you put your card away.
Good job.
It was all adorable. But I just remember, even as a kid, I remember thinking that would be the easiest game to cheat on.
Oh, yeah. Just say a girl's name,
Yeah. Which of your relatives, if there's any question about my relatives, let's say my aunt, or answer the second of the multiple choice questions. Like it would be,
I thought the same thing, but
I wanted to be married so much just so I could cheat on that game.
Someday. You get married, I'll reboot that show.
Okay. What do we know about the dating game?
Well, wasn't that the one that, well, first off, who hosted that?
Jim Lang hosted the dating game from for its entire ABC network run, from 73 to 78.
This is the one where they had the girl or guy, brought them out.
Bachelor number one.
Right. Well, yeah, they had talked to the person, then they brought out the Bachelor 1, 2, and 3 on the other side of the partition and asked them questions and decided which one they liked, and that's who they were going to go on a date with.
Exactly. But our three bachelors always start on an equal footing, and we have three gentlemen poised in position right now, and here they are. Gentlemen, good luck. A stalker for a professional library service, Bachelor number one is an all-around athlete. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His name is Richard Jones. Richard, good luck.
An entertaining guy, bachelor number 2 hails from Waco, Texas. He's a writer, currently laying out the last for the Smothers Brothers, and we're delighted to welcome Steve Martin. Good luck to you, Steve. And bachelor number 3 is toying with the idea of becoming a teacher or going into the advertising field. He reviews albums for his school paper. He's been writing songs for several years, and we'd like you to meet Ed Masciana. Welcome, Ed. And there are 3 cool and capable swingers all set for game number 2. Now, in order to keep our young lady from hearing anything about our 3 gentlemen, we've been keeping her isolated offstage in our soundproof room. And I would like to introduce her to all of you, and you, right now. A thoroughly versatile young lady, she handles comedy and drama with equal ease. She's just completed a successful road tour of Neil Simon's stage hit, Star Spangled Girl, starring Anthony Perkins and Jimmy Boyd. And she's currently filming Who Rides with Cain for United Artists. May we have a warm welcome for Dean Martin's delightful daughter. Here's Dina Martin. Hi, Dina. How are you? You look delightful.
And sometimes they had, some. I feel like there was some stunt stuff at different points. Definitely often used in sitcoms and things as a device for a funny episode or whatever. This was.
Well.
Yeah, you always might have some weirdo.
It's the third act of Mallrats. It's just
right.
It actually had a lot of famous people, famous contestants on it. That were always wannabe actors back then.
That's how they cast. They're like, anybody wants to get on. They want to get on screen any way they can.
Right.
I'll be bachelor number 2.
So before they were famous, Farrah Fawcett, Suzanne Summers, Yvonne Craig, Lindsay Wagner, Leif Garrett, Tom Selleck, Lee Majors were all contestants on the show in the 60s and early 70s. Other contestants who appeared before becoming famous included the Carpenters, Michael Richards, Andy Kaufman, Steve Martin, Burt Reynolds, John Ritter, Phil Hartman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and serial killer Rodney Callas.
I'm looking at Google and I'm seeing there's a made-for-TV movie called The Dating Game Killer.
Yeah.
So it had at least one serial killer.
It just shows the Terminator.
Yeah, and then they had a few famous people after they had became famous that went on the show, including a young Michael Jackson, not problematic at all, Dusty Springfield, Ron Howard, Barry Williams, Sally Field, Richard Dawson, Jay North, Paul Lynde.
There we go. Shadow Stevens.
Betty White. Tell me Betty White.
Betty White.
Yeah, a classic set with those kind of 60s, 70s style lettering.
Had the
flower
hippie
power,
flowers,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it looked like the set of Laugh-In, with just a wall between the chairs. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tough choice.
Good matchup, right?
It is.
Yeah, good matchup.
Wow.
You have strong feelings either
Hall.
way? I mean, does it come down to host? What are we judging on here?
I think I would go Newlywed Game. I always like that. Because it's a little bit of voyeurism, like a peek inside, like, oh, that's a happy couple, or oh, they ain't gonna make it, like that kind of like reality show type edge to it before we had any of that stuff. So the questions are usually funny, or then sometimes they'd be kind of sweet, and it was always left you with a good feeling. It seems like.
Well, I think we definitely have to give a little credit to Bob Eubanks. And the fact that they made up their own phrase that became everybody knows nowadays, has known for 50 years now. And I think I agree. I like the Newlywed Game.
And it doesn't matter what I say. What's the next matchup?
You are the weakest link. The Weakest Link versus the Gong Show.
Well,
couldn't be more opposite.
The Weakest Link, that I'm trying to think that's very around Who Wants to Be a Millionaire era, where they were trying to replace that with some other big gimmick.
Yes.
And it was for a very short time. It was
the biggest.
It was big. Yeah.
It was huge. Yeah.
Started in the UK. Host Anne Robinson. She was very serious and stoic and.
Howard.
Anne.
Are you more interesting than you look?
It's all in the mind, eye of the beholder, Anne.
What do you do?
I'm a business development manager for a large bank in the Northeast.
Okay. Tell me if there's anything interesting about your job.
Absolutely not. No. It's interesting to me, but I'm sure that it would probably go right over your head.
Okay. Why Doris?
Doris, when she missed the question, she took up a larger amount of time than necessary.
Okay, you're always very quick, are you, Howard?
In some things, yes. In other things, I like to take my time, if you know what I mean.
I've absolutely no idea what you mean. What do you mean?
Somehow I don't doubt that.
You had to, I think you had to answer questions as a team. Like it went around person to person. That was the link, like links of a chain.
You tried to bank your money, and as many. If you got it right in a row, the money went up, and then you could say bank, and it would put it in your bank. So if one person got it wrong, you'd go
then
back.
You started over.
So yeah, it was all about working as a team until you got to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we need to get rid of the stronger person because then we're playing the one-on-one game. Which watching the Jane Lynch reboot, people didn't quite seem to get. They were not. They were not always eliminated. You know, they were not playing strategically.
So yeah. Group of contestants ranging from 5 to 9 players when they started out. Had to work as a team of there was a maximum cash jackpot. Doesn't say how much it was, but like we said just a moment ago, the more questions you got right in a row, the more money you won, or somebody won.
And at the end of every round, you had to vote somebody off, and so you had to stand there and look at them like, I think Charlie's the weakest link. You know, you had to like tell them to their face, I think you should leave.
But I mean, really, isn't the reason it was famous was just because of the way she said, "You are the weakest link. Goodbye."
Yeah, it was her kind of personality and that sort of no nonsense.
That catchphrase.
Yeah.
So, Gong Show. Who remembers the Gong Show?
Oh, definitely me.
You remember the Gong Show?
I know of it, but it was never something I watched.
Yeah, they like came out and did an act, and the judges would, you know, I don't know what.
It was a talent show.
Yeah, basically, you know, if you suck, they hit the gong or whatever, and they'd like fall all over themselves trying to get to it to gong somebody out of there. It's been forever.
It was hosted by Chuck Barris.
Yep.
And
he's got the frizzy afro hair.
Yeah.
And he's like, the wild 60s suit.
Right.
Oh, I have a little letter here. Gotta read this letter for you. It's from Huntley, Montana. And it comes from Dan Parlish. And he says, I watch a show every day on a Billings, Montana station, and I love Gene the Dancing Machine. I just wish you'd give him another chance. So, all right, let's give him another chance. Lay it on now. Here comes Gene the Dancing
This was something my parents watched. a lot of. I was born in very late 1978. So really I was too young, way too young to have watched the show. But I remember them watching it. I remember them talking about it like this was one of their favorite shows at the time. It ran from 76 to 78, first run, and then 76 to 80, or 76 to 78 in daytime, 76 to 80, and 88 to 89, and then revived 2017 for broadcast on ABC. We mentioned Chuck Barris. The later version, Will Arnett was the host there at the end. And there was even there was a version, do you guys remember when Mike Myers, he was the host, but he played it as somebody else?
Yeah, he did it in character.
Yeah.
He didn't advertise it as Mike Myers.
Right. So that was weird. But the whole show was weird. So originally they had to wait 20 seconds before they could gong whoever was, the act or whatever. But after a few episodes, this was extended to 30 seconds and then to 45, just trying to give, people longer to kind of make a fool of themselves and get the crowd laughing at them.
Whatever. They have those talent shows now, like America's Got Talent or whatever. Don't they buzz them? It's the same thing.
It's the same concept.
They X them or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was more fun to
It was more fun to watch the judges, like you said, fall over each other trying to get be the first one to do it or whatever. Than I think sometimes the actual crazy act was.
So yeah, definitely the forefather of all those shows, and probably even like American Idol, and So You Think You Can Dance, so any kind of competition show where the first rounds are always look at these weirdos rounds, or they used to be.
Now
before we got a little more politically correct.
Yeah, definitely not politically correct. I highlighted a note here when Barris announced the final score. A little person in formal wear, which was actor and former Munchkin Jerry Marin, would run on stage throwing confetti while balloons dropped it from overhead. So that definitely wouldn't play very well today. They also gave out the Worst Act of the Week award, which apparently later was changed to the Most Outrageous Act of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, a bundle of yucks, if ever there was one. Fred Tyson!
All those heaven, West Virginia, riding mama, choo-choo waters. Life is dusty, dusting in the sky, dusting in the moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong. West Virginia, riding mama, take me home. Country road, take me home. Country road.
They did that on Friday shows, and then the performer received a dirty tube sock and a check for $516.32. I don't know what that was about.
I still pick it over whatever the other thing was.
Over the weakest link?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would definitely... I never got into the weakest link when it was hot. And even though I didn't watch the Gong Show...
this is the thing. Anybody can and has done a trivia show, asking questions show, Yeah. And I love them. So, but you're not going to just you can't just ride on just that and think, oh, we'll have a gimmick saying, and so we get to go on in this bracket. No, you got to have something more than that. And, maybe a question asking show what could possibly win this whole thing, but it ain't going to be just because you said you're the weakest link or something stupid. You got to say making whoopee or something.
Right. Get on board.
So I'm going with the Gong Show here.
I go with the Gong Show also.
Okay, then we don't want to know what you think, Jordan.
You don't. That's the last thing you want.
You're the weakest link.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, well, now what?
All right, guys. So that brings us back up to the top. All right. We have Jeopardy versus Win Ben Stein's Money. Strong feelings either way.
I remember that was like nightly viewing for me. I was probably high school, college. Every night, I was like, oh, got to watch Win Ben Stein's Money. Like it was something I really loved. But it's not Jeopardy, it's.
I was ready to upset the apple cart.
Wow. Wow. Okay,
not
so
really. Yeah, it's something else better than that. I'd have went with you. Yeah, I guess we gotta go Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. Okay. We have the Newlywed Game versus the Gong Show, guys.
Yeah, Newlywed Game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Gong Show is in pop culture. Everyone knows, even if you don't know it, you know it. But me personally, I would much stronger feelings toward Newlywed Game.
Okay. So, that brings us to Jeopardy and the Newlywed Game. The winner of this moves on.
Yeah, we're predictable.
Yeah. Jeopardy is
this should have been this shouldn't have went down like this. We should have had 4 big shows in the final 4, but we're just gonna have 3.
You just have to admit, Wheel of Fortune is not a good show.
Yeah, it's not.
I refuse to admit that. It's a great show. It's a classic format, classic game that isn't just.
So before we're all
too bad it got eliminated.
We're all in agreement. Jeopardy moves on.
Yeah.
I think Jeopardy, if they would have stopped with the form of a question thing and had everyone write their answers on cards like the Newlywed Game,
then they could beat each other with them.
Yeah. Then anyone who gets it wrong gets hit with the cards. Oh.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised nobody mentioned the Saturday Night Live skits with Will Ferrell and.
Well, I mean, just the fact that that's how ingrained in pop culture it is. It's been made fun of.
Yeah, I mean,
on Saturday Night Live, yeah, they probably did Weakest Link too.
What other game show host has had the outpouring upon their passing that Alex Trebek did? Like just the amount of love everyone showed for Alex Trebek. That's when Shadow Stevens goes. We're not going to get that same feeling.
I don't think there's
Shadow
anybody
Stevens
that they're going to make as
either.
big a deal.
Shadow Stevens was the voice, and he was a square. But John Davidson, now, he was a host.
Classic, yeah. All right, so what's our final 4?
All right, guys. I'm going to pull up my bracket real quick. Share that. Okay, so we have The Price is Right. That's going to be up against Family Feud. On the other side, we're going to have our...
The Price is Right came from the Barker region. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Handy.
Mm-hmm.
Jeopardy came from the Trebek region.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Family Feud came out of the Dawson region.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Okay. And then out of the Sajak region, we have Shadow Stevens's Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
Squares for life, baby.
For anyone that doesn't know, I fought this. This was a terrible choice and will not win and is waste. So,
but neither would Wheel of Fortune, so.
But it would have been a bigger
boat.
conversation.
But since we did that, there was Pat Sajak was in the news as like getting snippy with contestants and like Pat Sajak almost got canceled in the last few
He's
weeks.
horrible. He's an awful person in real life, but he knows how to host.
We've sidelined. We put Vanna in a corner. We've elevated Sajak, who nobody likes, and you're still saying it's the greatest game.
I like the game.
He likes the game.
I like the game because it's not like every other game. It is its own special thing, and it's a staple of game shows.
And so is Tic-Tac-Toe.
Yeah. Paul Lynde forever.
So, which side you guys want to play first?
Well, come on.
All right.
Now wait till we route Jeopardy out of here.
Yeah, I know. It's not over yet.
He's gonna slam that laptop down.
No, one of you, please, one of you vote for Hollywood Squares.
So
Circle takes the square.
We have Jeopardy, and we have our Hollywood Squares right there. I'm gonna back out a little bit so we can see it all.
I'm gonna go ahead and start you off. I'm voting for Hollywood Squares. Okay, so now you guys.
Nice. So we just talked about Jeopardy and the format. Alex Trebek being the host all those years. Ken Jennings winning the big money. Night after night, it's the same show for the most part. It's a fun show. Everybody gets to guess along, trivia. Just form it in as a question. And then down here we have Hollywood Squares that Seth has already voted for.
Yeah.
I think the main run of the show, we talked about Paul Lynde. We talked about Peter Marshall being the host. And
Peter Marshall.
A bevy cast.
Could have been the Peter Marshall region.
It could have been. Could have been very easily.
Now, technically, looking at this bracket, Supermarket Sweep knocked it off. Why are you mad at Hollywood Squares? You should really be mad at Supermarket Sweep.
I'm not happy with Supermarket Sweep. I sure as heck didn't vote for that.
So yeah, you should just celebrate that it's not Supermarket Sweep, which I love.
In fact, I think that's when I close. Isn't that when I rage quit?
No. It was Hollywood Squares, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Match Game was the one that threw me out. When you went after you had already got rid of Wheel of Fortune, and then you took out Match Game. That's when I'd had enough. You guys had made the wrong choice on both of them.
This
is the stupidest thing. I thought Match Game would save the region, and that would be our off pick of the three. Instead of picking 4 number ones, our off would be Match Game. It was like no.
Wasn't meant to be.
Busted your bracket.
Big
if any listeners out there love Hollywood Squares, let us know. Defend it.
I know Seth what he's missing about Hollywood I watched Squares. It back in the day. I'm just saying. Sure. I'm just saying it doesn't come to the end with any kind of chance.
Well, I remember
neither would Wheel of Fortune, in my opinion.
I'm not saying just okay. Forget you guys. I'm saying if someone else looked at the bracket, and was picking from here on, they're not going to pick Hollywood Squares.
Well, when have we ever picked anything based on what other people picked?
Exactly. When have we?
So coming from the Ben Stein region, we are going to pick
Jeopardy or Hollywood Squares. Hollywood Squares is a great show. I do have a lot of love for
it. Pick it.
Now he's just daring you.
Yeah, he is.
I'm not letting you guys act like you're going to pick it. Pick it. Do it. You will not make me unhappy.
Oh, Jeopardy.
I think Jeopardy's fine.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy's fine, but it's not. It's my third favorite of the remaining.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by that.
I'm not. I mean, all reverence to Alex Trebek, but when I was a kid growing up, Jeopardy was boring to me. I like trivia and stuff. As I got older, it became interesting, and I enjoyed it, and I like watching it, trying to get the questions right. But it was not a fun game show to me. I want something more, and the other side gives that to me. Those other two shows.
It's rather
it's dry.
It is dry. It's very interesting.
Not for a kid, unless you're like plenty of kids like Jeopardy. Obviously,
yeah.
It's good. They like to see what they can get. If they get 1 or 2 questions the whole episode, they're thrilled. It's too hard for kids usually. One reason, because they ask the question stupid. Because it's not even you can't even think. It's not a question, you know.
Well,
so kids, it's even harder for a kid to play.
I don't know anyone that's, when we're sitting at home, that actually sits there and when we're yelling out answers that says, "Who is Benjamin Franklin?"
Know. I'm just saying it's hard. It's hard enough.
But
for
the concept,
to get. These are hard questions they're asking.
They are hard questions, and it really surprises me because I've mentioned it before, but you know, my 13-year-old daughter loves Jeopardy, and we watch it almost every night. Like, as soon as I get home, she's like, "It's Jeopardy time," and like, she thoroughly enjoys it. And she and credit to her, she doesn't care so much about, you know, how many she doesn't know, but her face lights up when she does know the answer, and she really genuinely you know, feels smart and feels like, you know, she accomplished something by knowing a few answers on Jeopardy every night. So yeah, it's I think it's definitely Jeopardy here, without a doubt. But
well, I don't know, Jordan.
The more you guys ran down Jeopardy, the more I was thinking, it could be Hollywood Square.
I know. Look at that.
They're both great.
Got so much.
Jim J. Bullock.
I watched Hollywood Squares for a portion of my life. I've watched Jeopardy most of my life, so I have to stick with Jeopardy.
There we go. Okay, other side, guys.
And I definitely agree this side of the bracket is a tougher choice.
Stronger. Just stronger. The Price is Right versus Family Feud. Both great shows.
Both. This is the cream of the crop here for me. Things I like about Price is Right. Bob Barker. Come on. What more do you want?
Come on down.
Come on down. Got Johnny Olson. Got Mark Goods and Bill Tauber production. Got Barker Beauties. All these classic pricing games. Yeah. I mean, just so many of them that you are just staples that you've just seen 1,000 times. The Showcase Showdown, spinning the wheel, going to the end and getting the, bidding on the showcases. To one of them is like pretty straight up. One of them has a little story to it. Got trips and cars, and it's not what favorite washing machine do you want to win on the Newlywed Game. This is the big deal. Then you have Family Feud. You have 100 people surveyed, top 5 answers on the board. You get to try to think of the best answer, and this is the difference. This is the difference to me. I love everything about The Price is Right, except I don't care how much something costs. That's the only weakness in that show. Is that in fact it's amazing. It's amazing how far that show gets carried with everything else it has going for it. Except who cares how much stuff is.
and how crassly commercial it is. Every one of these shows is a commercial trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
But The Price is Right is every game, everything on it is like Planters Peanuts. They hold it right up to the camera and they're like the best tasting nut on the shelf. What is it? $3.99 or $5.99? Like it's all just name brands. And throwing stuff at you in a very crass sort of way.
Exactly.
Now, just a couple nights ago, I do believe it was, they've been running The Price is Right at night on primetime television. Host Drew Carey. So I flipped it over about halfway through the show. I was like, we couldn't find anything else to watch. And for some reason, this was so weird. Because of the pandemic, there's no audience. So they have...
they call you at home and say, hey, come on down here.
They have already chosen the contestants for that show. They don't have the podium out, in front of the audience. They have it up on all three of them up on the stage, or four, however many contestants are up there at a time, 4, right? To bid. So immediately I'm thrown off. And I'm like, wow, this is weird. The second thing, for some reason, Ludacris was on the show. I still can't tell you why. He wasn't one of the regular contestants, but he was like playing too. It was the strangest thing. We never did figure it out other than, hey, there's Ludacris. And for some reason, he's spinning the wheel too. We don't know why. He's not spinning for anybody else. It was wild. Also, have you guys seen Drew Carey lately? He has a massive beard.
Yeah.
This great big long gray beard, and like his hair is like kind of long, and he's wearing, they look like Rex specs. His glasses. They have like side shields on him. He looks like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He stole Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's.
I saw that he was on something. I saw he had those. I think he's just trying to not get COVID.
Well, that's what I took it as. I thought it must be a pandemic thing. Yeah. Even though he looks like Grizzly Adams. However, it was just the strangest thing. So we're watching it, and we have to find out, because we're just trying to figure out why Ludacris is on the show. We still don't know why. But we get to the showcase showdown, right? And we get our 2 contestants up there. First showcase showdown comes up. It's a new SUV. There's a souped up golf cart. They call it a neighborhood vehicle. And some other prices, okay? And I'm like, damn, that's pretty good. And the guy passes on it. I'm like, he's crazy. That's the one with the car. Next one comes up. Well, first the lady bids on it. The other contestant, she bids $30,000. It's a brand new SUV in California, plus another little neighborhood vehicle, which is going to be several $1,000s, and then there's some other stuff. She bids $30,000. I'm like, that hasn't cost $30,000 since the late '80s. So I'm immediately like, this woman has lost. She's nowhere close. Next showcase showdown comes up. There's a brand new Supra sports car, several trips, and some other stuff thrown in. Huge showcase, right? Guy gets on there and he bids like $36,000.
That car's almost $60,000.
Right. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, these are the 2 worst contestants I have ever seen on this show.
That's ludicrous.
So we have to watch to the end. The first lady, she ends up winning because she underbid by over $13,000. Like Jordan said, the other showcase was like over 60 grand. It was unreal. I was just like, what has happened to the Price is Right? These are the worst contestants I've ever seen. And for some reason, Ludacris walked out of there with 46,000. I still don't know why. Let's play the feud.
Yeah, you have just pushed me closer to the feud. Because I'm pretty even on these 2, but I don't know.
What's the best era of the feud? Is it Dawson? Is it Ray Combs? Is it the guy from Seinfeld? Louis Anderson?
I definitely watched more in the Ray Combs era, but I recognize, whose region that we're in.
Do you guys remember the episode of Mama's Family when they played the feud?
I do.
Always comes to mind for me.
I'm not going to get in an argument with the Lowe's about Mama's Family.
So I'm just going to
say... It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia even did an episode. They called it Family Fight. They didn't have the rights to do the actual one, but it was basically the same thing.
You guys voting?
I'm actually I'm going to vote for The Price is Right. That has to be the without a doubt the #1 game show of all time for me. just too much history there. Too many great games. Too much Bob and the Beauties. Definitely, I love the Feud. But putting it up against Price is Right, it's definitely Price is Right for me.
Gordon?
Oh, this hasn't been too difficult for me. Most of the things on this bracket didn't require a whole lot of stress for at least my choices, but except for this one. This one's tough. I don't know. My head's going one way and my heart's going another. But I watched a ton of Family Feud. I watched a ton of Price is Right too, I'm sure. And like you said, the Price is Right is more varied. There's a lot more to it. You don't know. You tune into an episode, you're not sure are they going to be putt-putting? Are they going to be plinkoing? What are we going to see tonight?
Might be yodeling.
Yeah, you never know. Whereas Family Feud, you get a variance in the questions and how terrible some people will answer. But,
Good answer.
yeah, they always clap, no matter how terrible it is.
No matter what.
Okay, good answer.
Like, I'm like, I just want to smack him half the time. I'm like, why are you encouraging this terrible player? You know this is
the weakest link.
So I got to give Family Feud a close second place. I'll go with Price is Right.
All right, guys.
Which probably crowns it the winner, I'm guessing. That's
Jeopardy, Price is Right.
Well, full disclosure, I absolutely would have put Price is Right over Family Feud, and I think it's the ultimate game show. It's fun, even though it's just a pricing game in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It has so many elements.
It's the pageantry.
It's the perfect game show. It has, you get to come down, play a game. You get on stage. There's three different games. You're going to get to play 6 different of the rotation of 25 to 30 different games.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what you're going to get. The roulette wheel of games. Then you're going to get to spin the wheel and wonder if that person's going to get bashed in the head with the wheel.
Or fall underneath it.
Step back.
And how he just gives them all the attention in the world until the second they're eliminated, and he doesn't say goodbye, never looks at the person again. They're never seen again. They're just gone. And then the final, bidding on the showcases could possibly win both of them. I really think it's the perfect game show. I love it.
There you go, guys.
I will concur.
Champion. It is official. Price is Right. Greatest game show.
Yeah, nobody brought up Happy Gilmore this whole...
It was a struggle.
Yeah. So, well, I hope we accomplished something. I think we had fun with it for the most part. And I hope everybody enjoyed the conclusion to it, and everybody enjoyed this little series. Got to pass some, got a few episodes out of it in a time where there's maybe not so much going on as we would normally be doing at the beginning of the year, doing movie previews and year previews and all that stuff. But because of the pandemic, thank you, Jesse, for pushing us into it and getting another bracket show out there.
And thank you, Cliff, for putting the bracket together and doing all the research and paperwork on that.
Thank you, me, for picking the right winner. Getting it in there. All you people staying at home, you don't know that you used to have to go to school back in the old days.
Yeah.
And there occasionally you had to get sick to watch The Price is Right.
That's right.
But you did it.
It's what made us feel better.
And you were exactly, and that was what soothed you and got you through the day. All right, we did it.
That's it.
Good job. Well done.
Remember to get your pets spayed or neutered.
Couldn't have said it any better myself.
And we'll be back in 2 and 2, whatever that, 2 weeks, I guess, with more Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Goodbye forever.
Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the Pop Culture Podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udownwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.
Greatest Game Show Bracket Challenge Part 4.
There you go.
Okay. Welcome.
Impeccable timing.
You couldn't freaking time that any better.
We were just getting started. I said the word welcome. Ding, and Michael pops up. I literally just started the intro.
Well, I didn't even, I was just pulling it up to see if it was on there. I'm not even set up right yet, so I'll be back.
Yeah, we're gonna do the last game show first, Michael.
Okay. Yeah.
So well, I was gonna say just hop back in whenever you're ready, but I was just letting you know.
Well, if you guys are going to do the game show, just go ahead and finish that one out, and then let me know, and I'll jump on the next one.
Okay. All right.
It sounds a little echoey.
Yeah, a little bit.
An auditorium.
His new office.